Thank you, folks. Glad to see everybody attending tonight, and welcome everybody online. My name is Craig Horton. I work for the Network Music Group in Vancouver, Network Music Publishing. I've been on the board, this was my third term. This past 3 years I've been serving as treasurer. So I have the pleasure of reporting all the financial results for you. However, Eric just stole all my thunder. I was going to surprise you with these terrific numbers, and
wow, sorry.
But I don't mind going through my slides for you. We'll see. Let's see. Yes. Oh, yes, because I'm going to go into more detail. My job as treasurer is to go into more detail. You'll see on the slide, that's funny, I've seen that number before, $299.5 million. But if you look at the trend of how much we've collected and increasingly collected each year by year, as Eric has pointed out, the licensing department has done a terrific job, and our international revenues have increased dramatically. Now, one of the things I have to say before going too much farther, David Wood, are you in the audience? There you are. Thank you, David. David, do you mind just waving your hand? Can we have a little light up front here just for a second? This gentleman, Chief Financial Officer, he's the fellow who's responsible, thanks David, he's responsible for putting together the spectacular financial package that you guys have at your seats, and it's also on the website. It's David's crew that has been thorough over the years. It's been a pleasure working with them this past 3 years. They've done an absolutely terrific job, and thanks David and all the other members of the financial team. So there we are again, those total revenues of $299 million. I think, being a bit of a pizza lover, you lose weight by not eating big slices of pizza. Right now, private copying would be a really good source of diet food. As you can see, private copying in the whole scheme of things is a little under $2.5 million out of the $300 million that we collect each year. As everybody may already be aware, in Europe, this is $1 billion business, private copying. But our legislators decided that making a copy on your iPhone isn't really making a copy. It's not making a private copy, so there are no extra fees. If you recall some years ago, I think it was called the iPod tax, and consequently, we're now collecting under $2.5 million when for us, I think, as composers and music publishers, this is worth a heck of a lot more than that. And maybe over, hey, we might get a new government? Could that be possible? In any event, if that were to occur, and everybody, please speak to your local government representative and maybe consider bringing the private copying tariff back. That would be a very good thing. Let's see. So domestic revenue, yes. So splitting out our different revenue streams, you see general media, new media, general licensing, and concert revenues, all divided up amongst the $242 million. With the online music tariff, and again, Eric mentioned this, now with Netflix and Show Me and Crave TV, they're all contributing to that, and we expect to see continued increase in revenues from that. Again, I believe Eric mentioned there was over 500% increase in revenue from internet streaming this past year, which is terrific. Now back to the net expense ratio. Eric mentioned that we hit, I guess we'd call it a world-class number, 9.5%. To get our net expense ratio, we take all of our overall net expenses and divide them into overall revenues, and that's how we come to 9.5%. It was improved by over 3% this past year. So of course, when revenues go up and expenses stay static, the net expense ratio will adjust itself. However, I recall, and I'm sure there are people sitting in the room, I recall when the two performing rights societies in Canada, ProCan or PRO Canada, and CAPAC, or CAPAC, depending on where you're from, when they merged many years ago, it was claimed that with the merged society, the net expense ratio could reach as low as 10%. And at the time, I'm from Western Canada, and we're contrarians. We didn't want the two societies to merge because we didn't believe it was possible. Now, granted, it's taken a number of years, but I'm proud to stand on stage and say that we are now less than 10%. And that's an extremely efficient performing rights society. You should be very proud of SOCAN. Now, this is the slide that most of you are probably most interested in. This is how much we pay out. Hands up. Who gets paid? We love being paid. Yes, yes, that's a good thing. And yes, you were just voting for me. I'm running for some office. So thank you for that. This slide, you'll see that we have increased distributions again year by year to in excess of $241 million. And of course, part of that was made up of $50 million in international revenue. And for those of you who may or may not know this, there's no cost. The SOCAN does not charge you for the revenue it collects from international sources. So there is an administrative cost applied to domestic sources before it gets paid out, but international revenue flows through directly to you. So get out there and get your songs played outside of Canada. Now, I think that's about it for me. I'm going to now pass this back to Mr. Meisner, and thanks very much for your attention.
The lovely and talented Craig Horton, everybody. Interesting. Okay, as Craig pointed out, we now have the exciting task of appointing the auditors and authorizing the board of directors to fix their remuneration. So if I can get a motion to appoint KPMG as SOCAN's auditor and to allow the board of directors to set their fees, that would be great. Craig, seconded by Ed Henderson. Thank you. Okay, and speaking of KPMG, in that this has been an election year, tonight we'll be declaring the results of the election. So in a moment, we'll be welcoming Keith D'Souza of KPMG, who acted as our scrutineer, to announce the newly elected directors. For a bit of background, the makeup of the SOCAN board consists of 18 people. 9 of them have to be songwriter members and 9 are publisher members, with regional, genre, and linguistic representation as prescribed by SOCAN's bylaws. In addition, 2 arm's-length nomination committees select appropriate writer and publisher candidates for the board, potential writer-publisher candidates for the board, and the nominations are also opening to any earning member who puts forth their candidacy by submitting a petition of 25 signatures of their peer SOCAN writer or publisher members. These nominees are automatically added to the ballot, and once the ballot is complete, members who earned SOCAN royalties in the previous year are all eligible to vote. So now I would like to introduce Keith D'Souza to declare the official results of the Board of Directors election for the term 2015 to 2018. Keith?
Thank you. Just to give you a brief background, on May 15th, when at the close of voting, KPMG took possession of the actual voting results, and we had performed a series of analytics and tests to ensure the completeness and accuracy of those results. And on May 22nd, we informed all the candidates of the actual candidates who had actually won the election. So what I will do is I will read the names of the individual candidates, and if we can have them stand as well so we can see what you look like, we'll know what we'll know the individuals who were elected. And please forgive me if I mispronounce any of these names. So I'll start with the writer members. Jean-Robert Besséo. He's not here. Victor Davies. Ed Henderson, Safwan Javed, Stan Meisner, Ben Mink, Glenn Morley, Mark Collette, and Gilles Valquet. All right. Representing the publisher members, Jennifer Mitchell, Earl Rosen, Reza Archambault, sorry, Denny Wolf, Craig Horton, Robert Ott, Gary Furness, Patrick Curley, and Vivian Barclay. All right, way in the back over there. Okay, all righty. If there's any questions, I'll be around after the meeting as well. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Keith, and I want to congratulate all of your new board of directors. So congratulations. I would also like to take a moment to thank two of our outgoing directors, songwriter Jim Valance and Neville Quinlan of Peer Music, for their important contributions to SOCAN over the last 3 years. Thanks, Jim and Neville. And while there are many familiar faces returning in our directors this term, I'd officially like to welcome a couple of newly elected directors, Robert Ott and Safwan Javed. We look forward to working with you guys, so welcome. Okay, now let's move forward with a brief report of the SOCAN Foundation. A couple of slides back here. So I would like to welcome Jean-François Denis, the president of the SOCAN Foundation.
Thank you. Bienvenue. I'm Jean-François Denis, the president of the SOCAN Foundation for the past 3 years. I've been sitting on that board for 4 mandates, and it's one of the best jobs that I have. Because we sit down, we evaluate musical projects, and we give money away to support these projects. So the SOCAN Foundation revenue is derived in part through funding from SOCAN, which amounted to approximately $1.6 million for the year 2014. The foundation also earned approximately $340,000 in investment revenue from its own endowment fund and other sources. After expenses, the foundation distributed $1.7 million through various grants and competitions. In 2014, the foundation streamlined its online grant application process and grant review process and completely restructured the content and functionality of its website with a new version that was launched in January 2014. That was announced last year, and now it's completely operational. Last year, the SOCAN Foundation provided core funding to 10 national associations. With our help, these organizations run programs that benefited Canadian music creators and publishers, helping to foster musical creativity and promote a better understanding of the role of music creators in today's society. In 2014, SOCAN Foundation received a record 675 grant applications and approved 594 of them. Last year, we were at 499, and just like SOCAN's revenue, we missed the 500 mark by just one, but this year we're now close to 600 applications approved. More than $225,000 in grant payments went directly to Canadian songwriters and composers, mainly to its two of its programs, Popular Music International Showcases and Composer Outreach Residencies. Among the SOCAN members who received grants to foster the creation of their music are Kent Whitley, Susie Vinnick, Laurie Friedman, the SLOCAN Ramblers, Christopher Butterfield, Tanya Tagak, Robert Normando, Slow Down Molasses, the High Dials, and Christine Jensen. A few more recipients, mostly from our events and project or education programs, are Soundstreams Canada and Esprit Orchestra, Harbourfront Centre, the Ottawa Chamber Music Society, and several more. On a completely different note, would like to pay tribute to our outgoing SOCAN Foundation manager, Rick McMillan, who will be retiring in a few months after many years of excellent service leading the SOCAN Foundation, as it fostered the career of countless SOCAN members, songwriters, composers, and music publishers. Rick McMillan has worked with SOCAN and the SOCAN Foundation for 40 years. His passion for music creation and the rights and careers of music creators is unparalleled. And I know that I speak for everyone at the SOCAN Foundation and at SOCAN, and probably in the whole community, that we will miss you, Rick, and wish you every success for the future. Rick is in the room. If you could stand, please, and let's give him a good round of applause. Rick over there. That concludes my report. Back to Eric Baptiste.